Hello, Mark Red Larsen for the Dreamcatcher podcast. Thanks for joining me. If you've never joined me before on this podcast, welcome. Let's get this started. I got my sun tea here, my updated Riverside, what I'm recording with here. First time ever trying this, so this is pretty cool, and it's pretty cool doing it live. Never really. I tried one the other day, but this is really the first time I've really tried it, and did it. You just don't try, you do. And yeah, it's interesting that how this all works, but hopefully everybody can hear me all right. Yeah, this is very, very cool. So Dreamcatcher, little bit about the background of Dreamcatcher. Coming up on 400 episodes. Been doing it I'm in my 5th year. Not ever thought I'd be a podcaster. You never know where life's going to take you. I am 63. Never thought I'd be doing this at 63, but I didn't know what I'd be doing at 63. I forget my age. I don't think of my age, how old I am, or what I should be or not doing. And I want to see everybody catch their dreams in the world. And that's the nice thing about technology, is because am able to reach people all over the world, from Pakistan to Italy to Spain, Ireland, Australia, and then locally, in the United States too. So the technology, you can sometimes be not happy with it, but it does enable to. It's interesting because it sometimes takes us further apart, but it also draws us together. So dreams. I've been doing a lot of podcasts. I got to sit still or I lose my headphones. Interesting technology. Yeah, they're not going away. But yeah, I've been locally. I'm in South Central Nebraska. I've been doing a lot of podcasts with organizations over in Hastings, Nebraska, which help a lot of people that I myself, living in this area, didn't really know they were there. I mean, I knew the names, most of them, but didn't know anything above that, like Crossroads and Maryland Living Center. And I mean, there's just a bunch that I did not know what they did. And I think that we overlook that. I overlooked it, and I pretty much lived in this area my whole life. And how many things in life do we overlook that are good? And I think we're programmed that way, because if you watch the news, it's always bad, and almost always bad. There's a few segments in there that are pretty heartwarming and stuff, but in general, they make you think that the world's ending, basically. That everybody's terrible, and and that hasn't been my experience at all. And I am from Nebraska, nice. And for a while, that was our slogan. But I've had 2 people in the last month say, "Yeah, you guys are really awesome. You really are nice." And we do talk to each other. But I've traveled to many places and I've found the same thing. So why aren't we putting out stuff like that? To the media, to news, to whatever. Um, for one thing, the easier is to control you with if you ever think everything is negative. Just like what they do with these data centers and AI. And I mean, there's so many things that they think the world's ending. Our kids are terrible. And I've found everything to be opposite of that. Kids are awesome. I've helped at the Y with cooking clubs and this summer camp. Kids are kids. And that is what I have found from Africa to wherever. People are people and they want to count. And they're, in general, I believe they're good. You know, um, oh, I got one podcast. I got half a headphone on now. Uh, yeah, this is cool. It's today's world. It's awesome. As long as you can hear the podcast, that's all that counts, and see it, hopefully. Um, but but it is. People are people. I mean, I did one with Anson over in Africa, and Anson really is doing great things now in the world. And it is but we get so worked up with the news, and I choose not to watch the news or listen to the news. Um, I choose to go get my information. I don't partake in it. Um, I have found that I end up being mad because I know that it's half truths and it's to a narrative. And somebody said, well, good news doesn't. Somebody told me the other day, good news doesn't sell. Doesn't. People don't go and show up for good news. But I beg to differ on that greatly. And there's good news all around. And these data centers, yeah, I mean, it is interesting that we went from the climate is crashing basically to going to use all this electricity and everything else um, to do these. And for one thing, one takes a lot. But this is all what I've heard. I don't know any of this is true. And that's something I think we need to do more also. We need to seek out our own information like I do with the news. Don't take the news or whatever you hear as face value, because I think too many of us do that, myself included, because I don't know actually what's going on in one state. I have no data centers really too close. There's one that's maybe going to be a small one over in Kearney, Nebraska, which is about 30 miles away from me. But they're already fighting that. But when the internet came out, everybody thought it was kind of woo woo, but the internet has turned into like I said, the internet has turned into a gift and a not. It's not a gift a lot of times because it takes time away from family time when we actually got together and actually. And I am thankful I grew up before the internet. The internet is awesome, but also I curse it. And I love that it lets me have my voice out to the world, because right now, if on Facebook and I pray that I'm live, it tells me I'm live on Facebook. It's going out to the world. I've got 60-some thousand followers, and I'm a big fan of Ripple. So hopefully Ripple, if they like this and this message, that they will ripple it out further to the world. And so like anything, there's pluses and minuses. So, don't get down. Don't think the world's ending. It's not. Together, we can, if you really truly want to defeat the data centers, just do something about it. Everybody says, oh, somebody should do something about it. It's like, you're somebody, that could do that. And I myself, I find I'm not quite as much, where you are somebody that could do something about it. And I was talking to a lady in Michigan today, and she was like all the dust and everything, and they really didn't want this data center. And it's like do something about it. People. I told her, I said she needed to get a 1960s vibe. We the people, we are the people, we run this. And people have forgotten that greatly. It's just like it was put into the Constitution. The Constitution, those people were geniuses. They knew what was coming up, actually. They knew human nature. And history repeats itself. So if you don't want something, march. You have a lot of rights. You can peacefully assemble. You don't want to, be vigilante or anything like that. You don't want to do that, because that just makes your cause look like you're kooks, and you don't want that. You want to look like you know what you're doing. Like I was telling my wife after talking to that gal, it's like we need to go back, and this is going to date me, to Bewitched, the TV show. And there was one towards the beginning, I think, where they were going to tear out the park, and Samantha and all her friends went down there, marched with pickets and stuff. And I don't see anybody picketing now. I don't see anything going on like that. They're probably afraid to get arrested. It's like, yeah, you get arrested. I'm sure they got arrested in the 60s too. For change to occur, sometimes it's not pretty. I'm not commissioning anything violent, anything like that. You have rights. We, the people, have rights. And it's time, I think, we start realizing that again, because we just like, boohoo, I don't like this, don't like this. But we have the power. It probably won't be easy. Like I've said many times on the podcast, to do anything takes effort, and a lot of effort, and won't be easy. Nothing worthwhile is easy. And I have found that with podcasting, although podcasting has come a long way. Podcasting is relatively not too bad for getting started. But I'd say that after I've done it in, so many years and so many episodes. But yeah, just do get-togethers. Maybe they should go picket that one in Michigan. I don't know what they're doing there. I live in Nebraska. But it's just like, look at what your rights are. Deal with the police. Say, what can I do legally to not get in trouble here, but still picket or whatever, and do something. Do something. Don't let somebody else do it, and then go boohoo. I didn't really want that data center, or I didn't, whatever it was next to me. But you didn't do anything about it. So you really don't have a reason to complain. And I think I know that is why people don't do it because it takes effort. And then the powers that be have got us so busy trying to make a living that we don't have time to pick it because they got us working 20 jobs. Maybe hopefully not that many, but a lot of jobs. So you're just barely running from job to job. And if you have a family with kids and all the other stuff, you have no time to pick it or do whatever you protest. And just think of that. It's just like, so there's a reason for this. There's a reason for everything they do. They know exactly what they're doing. And no, it's very interesting to when you become awake, aware of what they're doing. It's very apparent. Um, yeah, like how did they change the narrative from the climate change to let's go full force and use all this electricity? And electricity has to be generated. There is, I mean, whether you have solar panels, wind turbines, coal, nuclear, there's always a cost to generating that. And but this doesn't work into their narratives, now they want to have these and they're going to do it at any cost. And or like this stuff where they're supposedly going to put this trackers in your vehicles starting in 2027 where if you aren't fit to drive, the car will shut it off or will not start. In what world does that make sense? The only way that makes sense is to keep control of you. There's so many potential things for bad there. I mean, if you need to get out of, or if there's a storm coming, like here in Nebraska, it could be a tornado coming right next door, and we want to get out of here, and the vehicle will think, which I would be rightly worked up, wouldn't let me drive it because I'm worked up because I might be getting killed by a tornado in 30 seconds. No, there's a lot of things that needs to be explained right there. And who is actually, I would love to know who is doing all this, who's behind the scenes, who's pushing all this, keeping track of us, who's putting that into the vehicles in 2027. Who is it? I would love to know that. Who's trying to push, Bill Gates? They always put him as his fake meat and all this stuff. Is he truly behind it, or is he a scapegoat? We need to do a lot of research, and I'm not one that sits back and just lets somebody else do it. There's ways of finding everything. That's today's world. You can just about find out anything about everybody, and they're not excluded from that. So, yeah. But, going back to dreams and Dreamcatcher, because I like to keep it positive, and that can be positive if we take action, action within the law. But, Dreamcatcher, most people I talk to don't think they're worth their dreams. They settle. And I know I've talked about this on the podcast before, but it is something that is sad because these people had these dreams and they really, really wanted them. I think most of them at one time, but the majority don't because they don't think they're worth it. They don't want to do the reps, the work that takes to do it and become the person that can do the dream. And I just think of all the positive ripple, all the positivity in their life and in the world if people would do their dreams. Because like I've said many times, God puts the dreams in your head for a reason. He's actually putting these thoughts into my head right now while I'm doing this podcast. I'm pretty sure he is. But you weren't given the dream. You can do it. And I see some of these people that have such handicaps on, and they do their dreams, and more power to them. That's awesome. And I know that it also is very difficult to do your dreams when you don't have enough money to pay your mortgage or food. But you have to make the time because if nothing changes, nothing changes. And that is what they're hoping. They don't want you to get your dreams. They don't. That's the last thing they want. They don't want us to be united. United we stand, divided we fall. Very true. And it also goes with your dreams. You have to be in that united front and going after your dreams. And I'm not in believing in chasing. I believe in attracting. Become the person that the dream it has to come to you because you are now the person that can keep that dream and carry that dream and show others how to do it. And God has told me, he's like, that's one of my things he wants me to do. He wanted to be on the world stage, which I believe this is what that is. But he also wanted me to show people their gifts and how they can get to their gifts. And you may think I don't talk to God, but I don't talk to him this way. But he puts stuff in my head all the time. And I actually had a gentleman on the East Coast who's a comedian and he has his own church, which is an interesting combination. But I was telling him God said this and put it in my head, and he's like, "There you go, Mark." Um, yeah, I never thought it's like God's putting those thoughts in my head, and everybody's like, "Well, what about the bad thoughts?" It's like good and evil. Got to make sure you listen. You know who's talking to you, because somebody was saying, if you don't have bad weather, you don't know what good weather would be like. You have the good and the bad, and good's out there trying to dissuade you too. And you just got to make sure you do know who's talking to you. Um, and I think some people have mental illness, and I think that is a thing that we don't address at really very much at all in this society. But there are people that are getting bad ideas put into their that will make them think it's good ideas, and I feel for them. But you got to make sure where you're getting your information. If whether it's God telling me to do a podcast, write a book, he's still working on that one. Um, yeah, and he actually told me to do this live today. And I think I might be doing a live next Friday too, with a gentleman in Spain. So I thought I better, like I said in the post the other day, it's like I better get to learning how to do this, this live stuff. It seems not too bad. It says I'm live. I pray that I am. Um, with technology, you never know for sure. But if I'm not, it's recording this. I'll put it up later date. Oh well, it's all awesome. So, and life is awesome. And people, it's just like, look at your life, especially if you live in the United States. We have so much to be thankful for, and other parts of the world too. But I'm sitting here having sun tea on a nice place. This is not my. I wish I actually were my office. That's pretty cool, but I mean, the technology and the people, and then Cheryl and I are going to go have coffee and probably go work out at the Y. Talk about gifted and blessed. And so many of us take that for granted in this country, where there's people over in other parts of the world that are starving. I mean, Dawood. I'm going to bring you up, Dawood. He's going to be on the podcast again. He's in Pakistan. He's an awesome dude. He's got 3 orphanages over there. He's getting married in November. And he took initiative to open 3 orphanages and learn English for this podcast. He's the most awesome dude. He actually has invited my wife and I over to Pakistan for his wedding, which I'm not sure how that would all entail, but I'm honored that he did that. And he's the most genuine, hardworking, and those kids love him for it. And he's got big plans. He's the action taker. He's the one that changes the world for the better, because everything he's doing for those kids, they have food now. So if you don't have food, you basically can't go forward. You're in survival mode. And but Dawood is making it possible for those kids to have full stomachs, and I think he provides. I think he provides other things too for them, and those kids could do positive things now because they aren't hungry, and I believe there is potentially. I think there's enough food in this world to feed us all easily. Um, I just think that they don't want us to have that done. Because strife, evil, strife, like I said, it's also working in this world. That's why we have to have God and the good side. And also, before I end this podcast, when they put negative things on Facebook or wherever it is that I see it, social media, I should say, I always make sure I go and find 10 positive things to counteract that evil, that bad stuff. I know when my feed is pretty much bad stuff, it's like, I know they're trying to, which you're not going to do it for me because I'm a very upbeat person. And I know most of it's a ploy, but I'm going to put positive stuff up. Now, I'm just not going to let that go. Not gonna let it slide, because there are so much positive things in this country, in this world, that is not getting the attention that it should. So I challenge everybody that's listening or will listen to this podcast, go put positive things up. If you find a negative post on whatever social media you're on, go put up 10 positive things. And if you can't find any, you be the positive. Go out and help somebody. And I'm not for giving continuous charity. I mean, some people need it. I know there's a lot of homeless people in this world and this country, but we need to have a way out for them not to be homeless. And it is good to feed them at the moment, but we need to make sure that they don't stay homeless or whatever their problem is that they're having. We pat ourselves on the head by feeding them, first start, awesome. But why are they homeless? Is it mental illness? Is it something that somebody died and they lost all their money, lost their house? There's a whole plethora um, of it's just amazing how many reasons you can be on the street in this day and age, and especially in the United States. And I don't know, maybe parts of the other world, other parts of the world too. But we need to know why it's going on, because once you know the why, you can address, the problem. You have to know the why. Why is this occurring? And it's like, why are my headphones disappearing? Oh, this is fun. So, but I know that I can go on, but I just want, you know, we the people have the power. We have the power to change this country, the world. And don't think I'm too small to do it. Everybody has a voice. Everybody wants to count. I don't believe there's really the minority doesn't want to make a difference. But what I've found around the world, everybody does. And people are people. From Portugal, I mean, I've done so many countries. I probably know people in countries, half the countries maybe of the world now, and I wouldn't have done it without the technology in this podcast and Facebook, and other social medias. But it's such a powerful tool, um, and I pray that it continues to be a powerful tool. So, so on that, don't dismiss yourself. Go get your dreams. Go help somebody today. Put up 10 positive posts every day, especially if you see negatives. If you see negatives, put up even more than that. We the people can change all this for the positive. And if you don't want that data center, go do something legally about it. So go ask your constituents, what can we do to maybe get this stopped? So if you truly are of that mindset. So on that, thank you for joining me on the Dreamcatcher podcast. Thank you very much. Sending hugs, love, and have a great day.